I mean, a lot of trans kids don't have that support, which I don't understand. As a parent, you're basically there to make your child the happiest they can be, the best they can be, the truest they can be. So for us, it was just kind of a no-brainer supporting. There were, you know, little bumps along the way. Basically, I would say to parents going through this, inform yourself, get as much information, and be there for your child, support them, um, be open. It's not always going to be comfortable, but you know, you want your child to be happy, and this is a big step, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of courage to actually be your true self. And I mean, things are certainly the best they are right now, but certainly still have a long way to go. And that support is so important.
What's doing, everybody? Welcome to First Class Fatherhood. I'm Alec Lace, and before I hit you with today's interview, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the link in the description so you can listen to all of the interviews I've done with so many tremendous dads, including Dana White, Deion Sanders, Tony Hawk, and so many others. Now let's get going with today's interview. Joining me now, First Class Father Colin Mochrie. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
Thank you for having me.
All right, well, let's start it just like this. How many kids do you have? How old?
One. Just turned, oh my God, 31. How did that happen?
Wow, yeah, I got four myself. My oldest is 15, so you're more than halfway ahead of me, and I'm in no hurry. I'm enjoying it while it lasts.
Oh
So,
yeah, no, take your time.
if you could, Colin, please just take a minute here to hit my listeners with a little bit about your background and what you do.
I probably best known through a show called Whose Line Is It Anyway, a show that is totally improvised. And through that show, I've been able to sort of tour all around the world with Brad Sherwood, who's also on the show, and various other things. I'm an international icon.
Yeah, listen, I love the show, love the performances from you. I think it's awesome. It's one of my favorite comedy shows to watch, to be honest with you. So, take me back to the beginning here now, Colin, of your fatherhood journey. About how old were you when you first became a dad, and how did becoming a dad kind of change your perspective on life?
I was 33 when my daughter was born. Um, I mean, it's odd. When growing up, I always wanted to be married and to be a father, which is not always great in the dating world. It's not something you open up with. You go into it. And it wasn't until I found my wife Deb that I thought, yes, this is the person I want to raise a family with. And every cliche they say about having a child is pretty much true. You look at this being and you're just immediately, even though you know nothing about them, you're just filled with love for them. You want to protect them and give them the best life possible. And it, I mean, up to then, I was really, I guess, more career driven. And then after the birth of my daughter, that sort of became my focus. I found um, I really concentrated on sort of separating my professional and my personal life so that I would have a lot of time with my family.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, well, wanting to have kids wouldn't be a big hit on that Tinder bio for sure.
No, it certainly is something you would put after I like to ride horses.
What would you consider to be kind of the top values that you had hoped to instill in your daughter growing up?
Um, I have to, well, first of all, I have to give incredible thanks to my wife, who once Whose Line was happening for me, she said, you know what? She also is an improviser, an actor, a writer. She said, I'm going to, kind of take a step back and concentrate on our daughter. And we have instilled in her, I mean, you know, it's hard not to sound like a proud dad, but she is a lovely person. We hopefully instilled a sense of empathy. She's very much active in helping others who are maybe less fortunate. When she was in school, the teachers would always, when a new student come in, match them up with Kinley so she could show them around because she was very good at just caring. And that's basically the one thing we wanted to instill in her. And also, and this is going to sound like an old fogey thing, but manners. From an early age, please and thank you, because I always this is when I sound really old. I feel one of the things we've lost in the world is a sense of politeness and manners. You can still, argue with someone in a polite way and listen to them and respect them. And that's something I think we've instilled in Kinley.
Yeah, well, I couldn't agree with you more. And I always make sure that my kids are saying please and thank you. And I notice it too, like when I help out at the school and I'm doing a pizza day or something of that nature. And I notice the kids that'll say thank you and please may I have this. And it's very noticeable to me which kids do that and which kids don't. I know right away that's coming from their parents, their upbringing. I think that's a direct impact or a direct reveal of how the parents are bringing them up. And I do agree that we could use a lot more of that.
Hmm.
In today's society. One thing I got to ask you here, I mean, obviously being an impromptu comic, you're obviously very funny. Now, is it difficult for your daughter growing up to tell when you're being serious, when you're being disciplinary? What type of disciplinarian are you as a dad, and is that different than the discipline style you grew up with?
Oh, yes. Let me just say yes. I grew up with a Scottish family. They were very strict. There was never spankings, but there was threats. And what I hope to take away from parenting was seeing the things that my parents did right and wrong, and hopefully work on that. And there's no way you can get through parenting without making a mistake. You just can't do it. You're going because we're human. All you can do is learn from that mistake and move on. And we were not strict. Um, Not strict. I mean, we had our rules. Our disciplinary action was mostly talking to her and saying, "Okay, you know what you did wrong here. Um, we have to punish you. So, a week without the screens, or." But we were very lucky in that she was a really low maintenance kid. She never got into any kind of trouble. She was always respectful of kids and adults. So we rarely had to put our mom and dad faces on.
Yeah, well said. And I know, obviously, making big news when your daughter came as transgender. That became a big headline there. And this is a thing too for a lot of dads that listen. We can't control who our kids are going to be as they grow up. We got to get behind them, rally around them, and support them. What was your response to that when she came out with that? And what kind of advice do you have for other dads who may be just getting this kind of news from their child?
Yeah, one of the great things about Kinley is she was always very open with us. We have a really nice little unit. And so when she came out, she also made sure she had information for us, um, various articles, videos, just so we could sort of, I mean, we certainly didn't come up to speed right away, but we learned. And the thing, I mean, a lot of trans kids don't have that support, which I don't understand. As a parent, you're basically there to make your child the happiest they can be, the best they can be, the truest they can be. So for us, it was just kind of a no-brainer supporting. There were, you know, little bumps along the way. I mean, the main thing was her name. When she first came out, she um, said her name was Hannah, which was the also the name of my wife's best friend's dog, who just humped us all the time. So it had a bad connotation for us. And then she said, you know what? Let's do this as a family. We'll pick my name. So we came up with a list of like 30 names. She picked Kinley. And yeah, basically, I would say to parents going through this, inform yourself, get as much information, and be there for your child, support them, um, be open. It's not always going to be comfortable, but you know, you want your child to be happy, and this is a big step, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of courage to actually be your true self. And I mean, things are certainly the best they are right now, but we, certainly still have a long way to go, and that support is so important.
Yeah, I agree, and very well said, Colin. And I wanted to kind of swing this into what you do in the comedy world. I know we've seen a lot of the cancel culture. Some things are now kind of off limits for comedians to do. It may be a little bit more difficult for that comedian coming up today. So, what kind of advice do you have for the parents out there that do have kids that are interested in a comedy, whether it be stand up or comedic theater or comedic movie? What kind of advice do you have for the parents with those comedic kids with aspirations to do it for a living?
tell them to do something else. That's my number one. Um, my thing, again, it's a support thing. It is a tough life. It's one of those that it's so much based on your personal looks and your personality. You have to have sort of a strong sense of yourself. And there's times you're the only person who's going to support yourself. You're the only one who has a belief in you. You just got to keep at it. Do it as often as you can. Everybody has a different sense of humor, and to make a group of people in one location laugh at the same thing is difficult. But the more you do it, the better you get. You find out where your weaknesses are, you find out where your strengths are. It really is something unfortunately, you can't really learn it from a book. You have to throw yourself out there in the lion's den with all the good and bad that comes with that, and learn from it.
Yeah, and take me back. What was the genesis of you getting involved, Colin, in comedy? What was the spark for you coming into it?
In high school, my plan was to become a marine biologist. I was, a honor student. I was very quiet, very studious. A friend dared me to try out for the school play. I did. I got it. Then I got my first laugh, and that was the end of everything else. It was like, no, this is what I want. So I immediately switched over to theater, and then just made the long, hard slog to this.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, obviously, the success of Whose Line Is It Anyway has been very great. What kind of what's next for you here? What kind of plans or goals do you have? What's coming up next for you?
The beauty of my career is I never know what's happening at any point. Brad Sherwood and I have been touring. This is our 20th year. I started doing a tour with a hypnotist who hypnotizes audience members, and then I improvise with them. And I also do, movies and television, whatever comes along. I've been very lucky in that Whose Line has sort of opened up all these opportunities for me. And I just always looking for the next thing that's going to make me uncomfortable, because I find that's what I really enjoy.
Yeah, very cool. I don't know, for a lot of new dads out there, that becoming a parent is what makes you uncomfortable too. So it kind of forces you into these uncomfortable situations. So last thing I want to hit you with here, Colin, is what type of advice do you have for that new dad or for that about to be father who's out there listening?
Always remember, you're not by yourself. You have a partner, in your wife, your significant other. Make sure you have the same objectives, the same way to discipline, and communication. I mean, it's such a cliche, but it's so important between you and your partner, between you and your child. You get them early, get them used to talking about their feelings, or just talking about what's going on in the world. Just get that communication going.
Yeah, very well said. I love the message. It's been a lot of fun for me. I got to say, you're a first class father all the way. And thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time here on First Class Fatherhood.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on.